afternoon. First of all, thank you for joining us. I am Lakshmi Sri J, Social Work Trainee from the Department of Social Work, Bharatdasan University. And I'm here as the program organizer of this webinar, Confronting the Challenges in Learning and Development, HR Perspective. First of all, let me welcome each and everyone present here. It's my pleasure to welcome you all to this virtual event. Today we have with us our resource person, Mr. S. Shanmuga Sundaram, former Executive Director, Learning and Development from NLC India Limited, and presently serving as Training and Skill Development in NLCIL. We are delighted to have you with us here, sir. Welcome, sir. Welcome to this virtual event. Let me also welcome my social work family, Professor and Head Dr. R. Mangaleshwaran, Professor P. Ilango, Assistant Professors Dr. J. O. Jerida Jnanaji in Eljo, Dr. D. Nirmala, Dr. R. Rajavel, guest faculties Dr. R. Selvamani, Dr. N. Suresh Kumar, Dr. R. Karthikeyan, and the PhD scholars and my second year MSW classmates and my seniors and my first years from the Department of Social Work, Bharatdasan University. Hearty welcome everyone to this meet. I am also happy to welcome all the virtual participants. Thank you for joining us, and I believe the session will be fruitful to your needs. Once again, I welcome everyone here to this virtual event. Now, let me invite Dr. R. Selvamani, guest faculty and the organizing secretary of this webinar for felicitation. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon to all. First of all, I'm appreciating Lakshmi Sri and the second MS2 students in the facilitation of the human research management to conducting the good institutive or webinar program arranging the eminent resource person in the field of human research management. I'm happy to say this is a 30th webinar of our Department of Social Work, Bharatdasan University, is organizing virtual community organizing program. The community organization program is one of the curriculum of social work program practice. So our students is organized various type of webinar program in the last COVID-19 period. So I'm heartily welcome to Dr. R. Mangaleshwaran, Professor and Head Department of Social Work. And before the lockdown of organizing community program was conducted through offline mode to various community peoples during the lockdown of and very struggle to conduct this program in the present scenario. So department is suggested to decide that the organization development program to conduct in the through physical mode. The program also reached around 5,000 participation in the various part of the India and abroad and various places of. And heartily welcome to our senior professor, Dr. P. Ilango, an eminent professor in social work education. Is and heartily welcome to assistant professor, Department of Social Work, Dr. J. O. Jerida Nanajo Eljo ma'am, and Dr. D. Nirmala ma'am, and Dr. N. Rajavil sir, and heartily enjoy and welcome our guest faculty and as well as my colleague Dr. M. Suresh Kumar sir and Dr. R. Karthikeyan sir, always supporting and guiding from students' well-being. I'm happy to introduce and chief guest yes, Sanmuga Sundara sir is very rich, experienced resource person in the field of human research management. He was the beginning of the life and mechanical engineer joined in NLC Company Limited in 1983. He's working learning and development department since 1995 and the head and learning development department and retired in May 2020 as the executive director and learning and development and presently serving an advisor and training and skill development in NLC, an expert of DNA and designing and delivery and evaluation of the training and certified managing trainee of All India in Management Association and certified national trainee of JC University in America and certified NLC practitioner and as well as National Power Training Institute based training awards in receiving from 2016 and conducting more than 5,000 program all over India in Sri Lanka and various part of world conducting and training development in HR related programs and served in member of board studies and council of MBA program in Annamalai University undergoing training for international Labor Association Training Institute and leading business school of an international training institution and France, Italy, and Switzerland. This is the most memorable webinar from our, one of the specialized in human research management. The most common to increasing in the learning and development. They commonly know the person's learning and development in the academical side, and as well as in the human research department, a major vertical role playing from the organization. As well, generally, and human research management is the management of the human power of the company by the human research development. And human research management deeply playing and strategically designed from the leading of the engaging employee performance in last position of the time. So the ensure the best possibility outcome, the transfer benefit of the company, we giving some training and development. In the HR strategy, the involve and enormous method of learning and procedures we designed by the human research management. So this in the webinar, I hope this webinar very useful to all the participation and heartily welcome and first and second MSW student, Department of Social Work and Research Scholar and Academical and Balidasan University and other institutions, and as well as in its human research practitioner and participation from various institutions from Tamil Nadu across India. And now the welcome now and invite and chief guest to take over the and rich knowledge to rich knowledge to experience our sharing of the audience. Welcome, sir.
Good afternoon, sirs. Good afternoon, participants. First of all, my gratitude goes to Professor and Head of the Department, Dr. R. Mangaleshwaran, for coming out with such a wonderful event wherein the students are getting benefited in a bigger sense. Organizing Secretary, Dr. R. Selvamani, and a special gratitude and special mention goes to Lakshmi Sri, second MSW student, who had literally, she had somehow made me to accept, and she literally got me into this particular arena. So hats off to Lakshmi Sri for all-out efforts she had taken. And with this few thanking words, and of course, I could see from the participant list, there are some research scholars have got registered, some HR practitioner. Of course, it is more of students. And when Dr. Selvamani was addressing, he was addressing about Dr. Ilango, veteran faculty, and some of the senior faculty members. Good afternoon to one and all. With these few salutations, let me get into the subject matter, wherein I am not a theoretician, rather I have not gone through any of these MBAs or any such things. Basically, being an engineer, my approach is something like problem-solving approach. Okay, so this session has also been designed in such a manner. With this few introduction, let me get into the presentation part of it. During this presentation, rather I would like to get into an agreement with all the participants. I'll be posing a lot of questions because I don't know many things. I don't know many things. So whenever I pose any questions, it is quite natural that I expect some kind of a reply. It is not a question and answer session wherein there are no such right answer or there are no such wrong answers. Whatever you come out with, it is your own perspective of seeing that particular subject matter, what is being discussed. Okay, so my only request to all the participants, whenever I pose any question, do respond to that question in your own way. We can make use of the chat box, and so that we can convert this virtual classroom into a reality show. Okay. So the topic given to me, rather I have converted that topic into this form, opportunities and challenges in learning and development, HR perspective. Okay. So before getting into this, I would like to have some clarity. I would like to know from some of the student participants. I hope there are a number of MBA students and MSW students have registered for this. When I see these three letters, HRM, Human Resource Management, I would love to get some kind of a response. What does that indicate, or according to you, what do you mean by that HRM? Don't think that I am posing question into a syllabus. I am not at all entering into any syllabus part of it because I don't know anything about it. Just I want myself to get clarified. That's why I posed this question. Lakshmi Sri, am I audible and things are okay?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
If at all if the participants are chatting, anyway, I'm not able to see any response from my screen.
So we have one response from Google. It says to act as mediator between employer and employees.
Okay. I think to see that I need to come out of.
No, sir, it's okay. I can read everything from the chat box.
Okay. So let me proceed with the.
Yes, sir, you can proceed.
And I had gone through some of the definitions, and which was amongst those things, this particular definition was little catchy according to my this thing. Human resource management is a process of making the human resources efficient and effective. By using those human resources, you need to achieve the set goals. So that is the definition given for human resource management. I think from my experience with this industry for the past 37, 38 years, I also fall in line with this particular definition. Okay. And there is also another statement, human resource management. Main purpose is to ensure right people for right jobs at right point of time. And there is another definition about HRM process. It involves following managerial functions: planning, organizing, directing, and controlling. Whereas the other set of operational functions, that is where I got attracted to. The operational functions are procurement, development, where I converted that development into red lettered. The third operational function is compensation, and the fourth one is maintenance. I think, according to me, the HR managers, immediately after completing your course, when you step into an industry as a manager of entry level, your focus, maybe you may be posted to any one of this arena domain. Procurement means, I would like to get a reply from the participants. What does it mean by that procurement for a HR manager? Give a response. Don't worry about whether it is right or wrong. Whatever comes to your mind. You might have studied in your syllabus. You might have omitted this particular portion in your choice when you sat for the exam. All those things are fine. Anyway, whatever has come to your mind. Whereas this procurement means induction, recruitment. Under the development arena, the training and learning and development comes. This compensation, of course, wherein all those salary fixing and incentive or increment, all such processes involved. And the fourth one, maintenance. That is the another most important area. Having joined an organization, it is the responsibility of the HR team to retain that particular human resource. Because according to me, how I see people, whenever I see a person as a bundle of talents. Can anyone tell, is there any individual who is participating in this webinar? Can any one of you declare, sir, I am not at all having any talent? I know no one can respond like that. The problem is, each and every one of us, we are literally having bundle of talents. The problem is, we don't know what we have. Okay, in that area only, this particular learning and development or training department plays a very, very important role. And before moving into the next slide, I have a small question. Probably when you are joining as a manager entry level, okay, in an industry, in a company, what you are supposed to do as a manager? when I posed this question, I was also many a times I used to wonder when I interact with the youngsters who are working in IT field. They used to tell, Uncle, I go by morning 8:39. I sat in front of the system and I continue to work. Remember, I put this word work under quote. Okay. I continue to work up till evening 6, 7. Even based on my client's requirement, I may have to sit all through the night also. Something like that they used to tell. My question is, what is that you are working just by sitting in front of the system or a desktop? Yes, uncle, we used to interact, we used to send mail, we used to reply them, we used to get the details, something like that they used to tell. It was literally giving some kind of an astonishment to me. How they can define their work. Echo coming. Okay, so according to me, as a manager, whenever you join any industry, any organization, whether it is a small or big company, you are given with a task, and to get that task completed, you will also be given with set of people. So according to me, based on my experience, the first and foremost thing is you need to identify the talents available with your team. Then comes the most important role as a manager. Having identified that talents, it is your responsibility and it is your main, with that kind of focus, you need to convert that talents into performance. Then only there could be some progress with respect to your own work area, with respect to your own department or something like that. Okay. Hello. Hello. Lakshmi Shri, is that all right?
Yes, sir, it's all right. Yeah, you can proceed, sir.
Okay. Coming to the main focus area, opportunities and challenges under this HR domain, especially with respect to learning and development. According to me, challenges are nothing but opportunities in disguise. So I'm going to take both opportunities and challenges together. I'll be addressing as a single entity. Okay. So problems are nothing but opportunities in disguise. In that same manner, challenges are also nothing but opportunities in disguise. Whenever you are facing any challenge, you must thank your management or thank the person who has given you, thrown open that challenge, because it is that particular challenge is going to bring out lot many talents which are underlying, rather latent talent in each and every one of us. According to me, in the present condition, the opportunities and challenges, I just mentioned three. Pandemic situation, COVID-19, because of which there is a sudden drastic change in the entire industry arena, and everyone has got some sort of a confusion with respect to industry's expectations. What is that industry expect from me? So these three are the challenges, and according to me, these three are the greatest opportunities open to each and every one of us. Whether you are a student or a research scholar or a faculty or a person working with some industry. I hope you all will be agreeing with these things. Coming to this, taking this point, COVID-19. COVID-19 literally brought in this SMS, social distancing, hygienic environment, maintaining hygienic environment. And of course, when we talk about that SMS, social distance, mask, and soap washing. Okay. So, is it possible to maintain all such things in a training atmosphere? That was the first problem when I was in service. Actually, I retired in May. By February itself, the outbreak of pandemic has started impacting the performance of especially our L&D department. Our immediate response was no response. Literally, each and every one of us, we got confused. We don't know what to do. We didn't know what to do, how to proceed. All along, we were literally running around 600 programs in a year. I'm talking about NLCIL. My training calendar carries around 575 programs. All those 575 programs we conduct at our training department as in-house program. That means every day there will be some 5 to 8 programs in all the 8 or 10 training halls. That means not less than 250 employees were there participating in those programs. All of a sudden, mentioning this social distance and wearing mask and all, people got literally fear to come out of their places. And there was also a government direction not to run any training institutes and all such things. So we were not at all in a position to conduct any training program. Okay, fine. That was a real great challenge thrown on us. At the same time, each and every one of us, people we are working at the L&D department, we started doing some sort of a brainstorming, and we wanted to come out with some methodology. Thereby, we need to run the training programs. So at that point of time, I still remember these are all some of the basic facts. Each and every one, when I show this, you'll also understand. Because at training department, we deal with adults only. Okay. So the adult says, whenever we invite him for a training session, he sits there with this point in his mind. Sir, I am ready to learn, but don't try to teach me. Understand? They are directly not telling all such things. Openly, they might have not communicated this statement, but this is what they carry within. When a faculty enter into a classroom, training hall, he sees 30, 40 the plain faces with a question in their mind. What is in it for me? At the end of the session, what I will be carrying back home? So It is a real kind of a challenge thrown on the faculty, the resource person, or the trainer. Okay. One clear green indication is my participants, my employees. They are ready to learn. They are eager to learn. But how you are going to, when you get into the teaching mode, they are not at all ready for that. So you are not supposed to teach. That is where each and every one of us, we need to understand there is a big difference between teaching and training. And learning has to occur in that environment. Okay. In that same manner, adult also sitting in the training hall, he conveys, see, faculty sir, when I hear, I forget. If you continue to speak for hours together, I may lose interest. Nothing may get into my system. Okay. So when I hear or I forget, when I see, I remember. That means the second statement says, don't never ever try to give lectures. I get bored. Nothing is going to get into my system. So try to come out with some sort of a audiovisual aid also. Fine. If you continue to put some sort of a nice clippings and all, there also I get bored. When I do, I understand. So our ultimate aim, the training department, learning and development departments, our ultimate aim is to bring change in the knowledge level, skill level, and attitude, behavioral level of our employees. This is the real great challenge. Even when we were conducting in-house training programs, classroom training, now the challenge, the intensity has increased multifold when we go for this virtual classroom. That is the greatest challenge thrown on L&D. When I speak about sudden drastic change, this is what I was discussing about. From real classroom to virtual classroom mode. Now I am conducting this session. Literally, I am speaking. I started my session some 15 minutes back. I have not at all seen any of you, and not even in a position to listen to any of you. Okay. Literally, this presentation has become, this session has become one-way communication. Assuming various things, I continue to speak. I know pretty well when I posted that previous slide, I forget. There goes a statement. Probably students must be, should have not knowing this factor. Probably faculty members must be knowing. You know how they arrive at this 50 minutes session or your college session, class sessions? Lakshmi Sri, 50 minutes or an hour?
Direct in 45 minutes, sir.
45 minutes, 45 minutes. You know how they arrived at? Actually, at the start of the session, at the start of the classroom, the attention level of all your students will be at this point. Okay. When you continue to lecture, when you continue to speak for 10 minutes, 12 minutes, it goes on and on and on. When you reach 15 minutes, the attention level drops from here to your bottom, your butt. People become restless. You might have noticed. That is why we have introduced, whenever we do any such train the trainer faculty development programs, I used to tell, never ever continue to speak or lecture for more than 10 minutes. Find some means, move into some other training methodology. Of course, for your information, any wild guess how many training methods are available?
I think total 3.
No, three training methods.
On the job, off the job, manual and
Okay, that's nice. I'm talking about some 2-3 years back. Up till that period, the trainer's world has identified and developed somewhere around 140 training methodologies. Out of these 140 training methodologies, we faculty members, I'm not finding fault with faculty members. I'm not making it as a complaint. In that angle, I'm also a serving faculty. Most of us, we fall into this lecture method. Few of us, we get into the questioning method, and we do fall into the fall in line with case study method, discussions, group discussions, all such things. So we literally make use of handful of training methods only, 4 or 5. When there are more than 140 training methods available for a trainer or a faculty to make use of, when we are utilizing only 4 or 5 training methods, that too, if you are falling a prey to this lecture method, it is a real, this is, of course, right time for each and every one of us, the faculty members, to bring in some kind of a change in our approach. Okay, coming back to the main topic. So the sudden drastic change from actual classroom to virtual classroom, and choosing a right kind of a training method which will be suitable for the virtual classroom. This is another real great challenge posed on learning and development. I don't know about institutions. Okay, here we are literally struggling to make the ends meet. What I'm trying to convey, we are not in a position to get penetrate through the participants through this virtual classroom. So I'm not in a position to see my participants. I am not in a position to interact with my participants, right? That is another interesting phenomena. I'm through this virtual classroom, I'm not in a position to read the body language of my participants, because body never tells a lie. Okay, so this is another biggest challenge for any faculty, any trainer when he gets into this virtual classroom. So this sudden drastic change of moving from actual classroom into virtual classroom and finding a suitable training method, we are yet to come out of these two challenges. I think all around the world, many of the training institutions, many of the industry, training in industry, they are working out something with the help of artificial intelligence. They are trying to come out with some models. Anyway, keeping all those things in line, the success rate is very, very minimum. Nothing can, according to me, based on my experience, nothing can replace virtual classroom, this aided by AI, all such things. Never ever will be in a position to replace the actual classroom wherein you can meet the people, you can see them, see their reactions, you can see their response, and literally you can get connected with them at feeling level. That is the biggest challenge according to me. So in virtual classroom, nowadays, of course, right now I'm through video conferencing, I'm interacting with you. And another interesting area, this micro learning modules, MLMs. Okay. There is a recent research finding wherein these youngsters, you people, your attention period is only 7 to 10 minutes. If at all, if I need to convey something, if at all, if I need to imprint something in your system with the participants, I need to do it within 5 to 10 minutes. If it gets extended, it's gone. So micro learning modules is one of the recent findings which are very, very helpful in conducting virtual classrooms. We are also at NLC, we are also trying to develop and convert all our lengthy sessions into small MLMs of 5 to 7 minutes duration, and we are trying to introduce. Training methods. I have a small message to share with you all. Whatever be the method you choose, it must be user relevant, it must be user urgent, and it must also address their friendliness, the participants. I know some of you might have seen myself struggling at the start. Then and there I was checking with Lakshmi Sri, whether I am audible, whether my presentation going in, it is seen by all, something like that. Because I am kept in dark. So as an user, I am using this video conferencing as a tool, of course, wherein I'm yet to get the feel of it. So whenever you come out with some sort of a new innovative methods, it has to be user relevant, user urgent, and it has to be user friendly also. Coming to the most important area, what is that industry expects? When I see MSW, the person who completed MSW and comes and meets me for some sort of a thing, I consider him as I see him as a manager with 2 years of experience. Of course, experience he gained when he was doing his MSW at the institute. You got the point. This is not my view alone. Whenever I sit in any interview, when I sit for an induction interview, I see this MBAs and MSW completed the students. they come with very, very little knowledge of what is going on in the industry, or that kind of industry experience exposure is literally very, very minimum. In those days, when I was applying for various jobs after completing my engineering degree, in the covering letter, I used to mention, if at all, if I am given an opportunity, I'll be in a position to contribute to the company, and I'll also grow, make the company grow. Along with that, I'll also grow. Something like that I used to mention. That format was, even after writing that letter, I used to make myself pat on my back. Well done, Shanmusundaram, you have given some kind of a, what do you call, pepping up message to the organization for which you have applied for. You know one thing? Today, no industry wants you to take your own sweet time. From day one, you take it from me, from day one, the industry expects you to be a giver, a contributor. From day one, you need to contribute. From day one, you need to show the result. That means even before joining, you have to do some sort of a homework. You got the point? Probably this particular information might not be known to the students community. Fine. Whatever you are doing at your institutes, you are doing some sort of an industry visit, field visit, project works, social studies, this, that, etc. Fine. Are you in a position to understand what is going on in that particular industry? For example, here I would love to detour a little, Lakshmi Sri, take it for another 5 minutes. For example, when you apply for a job, I want each and every one of you to prepare in 3 areas. Point 1, about the subject, right? You must have an updated information about your course. What is current? Whatever you have studied during your course, all those things were written some few years back. Whenever I go for buying some kind of an electronic items, computer, one of my computer friend was telling, when you buy a computer, that computer becomes an obsolete machine very next day. In that same manner, whatever you have studied in your colleges, all those maybe around 50 to 60% of your studied subject matter have become obsolete when you come out of that college. What I am trying to convey, maybe what I was telling you may be an exaggerated version. What I would like to impress upon is we need to update. You need to be current. What is going on in this particular area? Okay, MBA HR means what are all the best practices followed in this particular industry? Coming to the next aspect, fine, you are applying for a job in NLC, just for example. You must know what NLC does. And even to the interviewing panel, you must be in a position to feed some current hot information about his company. To that level, your preparation should be. So about the subject, about that company for which you apply, and the most important third thing is about that particular job. Say, for example, you have been called for an interview for a job manager HR. Okay. What is that role literally meant for? What you are supposed to do, what you will be doing, all such things you have to have a clarity. Okay. So literally that is what I was mentioning through this. I was trying to convey through this particular slide. When you come out of your course successfully with that first class or distinction, all such things, remember at every point of time, you need to update yourself and you need to be current about what is going on in your discipline, in your own domain. Coming to that industry's expectations further, we don't want people, yes, sir, I joined this company, I'm getting my salary, this, that, fine. How is your job? Chalte, sir, it's going on. I'm enjoying. No. Today's environment is literally we are in fast track. We are in fast food world. Wherever we go, we want very fast results. So you have to have an attitude of challenging the status quo. Status quo means, yes, sir, how things are going? Yes, sir, it is going fine. Remember, whenever somebody asks you this question, how is your study? If you say, sir, my studies are going well, literally you are telling a lie. You know why? You might have come across, you have got some hard, tough subjects, you might have got some tough areas wherein you are not in a position to understand some of the theories, some of the concepts. Okay. Keeping all those things aside, whenever any person poses this question, how is your study? We used to convey goody answer. Yes, sir, it is fine. So industry don't want any such giving good reply people. We want doers, real contributors. Okay. Industry expects you to build this competitive edge. What is that special in you? How you can continue to be a contributor from day one? And you need to devise new strategy and innovation. Here, when I say new strategy, sir, how do I find out some kind of a new strategy? Just I joined this company. I just came out of this college just 2 months back and I joined this company. How do you expect me to form new strategy? Gentlemen, this is where we need to have a different mindset. Bill Gates in his book, Business at the Speed, that book name I forgot. What he said, when you join an organization, when you are taking a position, you need to act as a CEO with respect to your own department, with respect to your own job, with respect to your own domain or that particular area, assigned job. That means when you have that kind of ownership feeling, then you will definitely be coming out with all such things. New strategies will start flowing like anything. You'll be innovating and you'll continue to serve the company in a very big way. And you'll definitely be in a position to take the company from good to great level. There was one TV brand, Sansi. Nowadays, It is not in the market, I think. Its promotion slogan is, anybody, can you remember? Its slogan is better than the best. So if you think that you are very good at work, good is not good when better is expected. You must understand. So by joining any organization, don't consider yourself, I am after all a small person, I have very little knowledge, I have very little exposure, this, that. Throw away all those things. I said at the start of the program, industry expect you to be a contributor from day one. So each and every one of you, when you join a company, you need to play the role as a contributor. Okay. Industries expect always result-oriented performance. Just I am reminded of a small story. There was a small company which was into planting of trees, tree saplings. And for planting those saplings, the firm has engaged 3 workers. Let us name them as ABC. Okay. The responsibility or the job role assigned to A is he need to dig the soil, and B has to put the sapling into that dug area, and C has to pour little soil and pour water. Okay, this is how things were happening. One fine morning, literally B put leave and he was not there. So A and C had gone for work. They were literally, it was an open, hot summer in the open land area. A was going on digging the land, and he completed literally 100 pits. Okay, in the allotted time. And C has also completed his assigned job of filling the pit with soil and poured water. In the evening, when the owner came and inspected that spot, he could see no trees, no saplings, but 100 pits were the symptoms of pits got dug, and the pits were equally filled with soil and poured with water. Literally, both A and C has not failed to do their work. What was the end result? Okay, this is where they need to apply their mind, and they need to, instead of digging 100 pits, A and C should have thought of, A and C should have come into some sort of an understanding. Okay, together I think we can make out, plant some 50 or 60 saplings since B is not there. Okay, so that is what I try to communicate through this result-oriented performance. And the most important thing, industry expects a multi-talented person. Whenever we hire a person, we expect him to do multitask. So my advice to the youngsters while doing your course, parallelly try to acquire some more skill also by enrolling into some. Nowadays Government of India is running number of skill development training programs. I wish the students to go through the NSDC website, National Skill Development Corporation. Okay. When you go through that, the entire Indian industry has been mapped into some 34 sector skills. And under those 34 sectors, each and every sector has come out with short-term skilling programs. And I wish, and my humble request to all the youngsters, find out a suitable sector and try to add that particular skill by registering into those courses, short duration courses only, 2 months, 3 months, something like that, whatever possible, right? So when you come out of your college, you have to be MSW plus. When I say MSW plus, MSW 2 plus, why not? MSW 3 plus, this plus 2 plus or 3 plus indicates your skilling aspect of it. So, friends, it is just a beginning. Having come to know about all these things, knowing is not enough, we must apply. Willing is not enough, we must do. Doing is not enough, we must also get results. So, through my presentation, I shared some of my views and ideas and some suggestions, right? Hopefully, having come to know about all these things, if at all, if some of you apply in your life and find some usefulness, through which I think I get that kind of a satisfaction. And I wish each and every one of you all the best. There also, I like this particular quote: if you do what you can, God will do what you cannot. Okay. So whatever possible, when you have that ability, do all such things, acquire all such skills, acquire all such things, explore all the possibilities, then naturally success will be yours. So with these few words, thank you. Thank you very much. And now the floor is open for further discussions, if there are any query. Over to Lakshmi Sri. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, if the participants, if you have any doubts or queries, you can put it in the chat box or you can ask it directly. So we have a question from Niveka.
Yes. Yeah.
She's asking, how is the social distance maintained in industry?
I'm not referring to industry as a whole. At training center, in my training department, say for example, the hall can accommodate 100 seats, means Now I converted that hall into only 30 seated hall. In that manner, I'm in a position to maintain that social distancing. With respect to field, mines or thermal power generation units, social distancing is not in a position to maintain that to that extent, whereas we avoid touching and those related areas we are focusing, and we are in a position to maintain that. Mask is a must, hand wash, all such things. By maintaining these other areas, we have brought some kind of a control at our site also. I answered you?
Yes, sir. I hope that you have answered her. Sir, shall I go to the next question?
Yes.
Sansha Ramesh, she's asking where do companies goes wrong with L&D? Any example from your experience?
Yeah, where do companies goes wrong with L&D? One thing I found with other industries, right? We do certain things for sake of doing something. If at all, any training program, if it is not based on need, according to me, it is a futile effort, right? Just for getting some sort of name and fame. For example, there are a number of hi-fi programs going on. I'm not finding fault with those programs. When that is not suitable for you, when there is no need for such things, having such programs, conducting such programs, that is where some of the companies go wrong. So my direct answer is training has to be organized based on the training need. Need-based programs will definitely yield better results.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that answer. Sir, we have another question from Sajid S. And the
Yeah.
question is, sir,
So how we can retain talented employees? Um, Talented employees, retaining talented employees. See, there is always something like needs and expectations. Okay. This employees attrition rate is very minimum with respect to government companies, public sector companies. Okay. Whereas in the recent past, we also started facing this problem when we inducted young executive trainees. Those trainees, when they have more number of job opportunities, job avenues open for them in there, when they have job offers, or job offers in their hands, for them coming and working in Neyveli being a small town, which is not having that sort of attraction of a city, retaining them was a problem. Whereas over a period of time, the job market has literally had a downtrend. Here in public sector companies, the job security is very high. Whereas in private organizations, the job security is the lowest level. So keeping that point in driving that particular point with those youngsters. Now we are in a position to retain the young talents. Anyway, for each and every company, the scenario will be having different factors which are affecting those talents.
So, general question about the student side.
Yeah.
Most of students are very acquired the knowledge of the theoretical level of human research management.
Mhm.
But students are passed out going to entering in the industrial sides. The most of in a practical manner. So the industry also, except from the multitask employees. So the basic, I mean that question is, what are the basic competency mapping is needed in a human research manager, executive level? It's like the computer operating and Excel and compensation related work and time office related work. There is everything will be in no other than the theoretical procedure.
I got that point. From my experience, one deficiency or one critical area I found in youngsters many a times, because from NLC we opened up some every year around 2000, for 2000 students. We give them opportunities to do some sort of project works, in-plant training, all such things. For doing project works, the students have to come and meet me as head of training. At that point of time, I found what do they actually need, and they are not at all in a position to even write a letter. Their communication capability is, I won't call it as poor. Um, if at all, if I need to evaluate for a score of 10, I found most of them were scoring somewhere around 2 out of 10. My advice is necessarily before they pass out, before they step out of the college, they need to enhance their communication capability, both written and oral. Undoubtedly, they need to carry computer skills, basics, MS Office. They must be have a good hand with respect to computer. These are all the two things will definitely be in a position to get an edge over others. And other remaining things I was telling at the beginning, they need to have an updated knowledge about their own discipline, and they need to, by quoting some of the how they are fitting into that particular job and that company, they must do that homework. With that homework, when they appear for that interview, they'll be definitely be getting selected.
Thank you, sir. Due to time concerns, we are inviting and Lakshmi propose the vote of thanks.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Let me propose the vote of thanks. Shanmuga Sundaram, sir, on behalf of the Department of Social Work, Bharatdasan University, I thank you for sharing your valuable time with us and for enriching us with your valuable insights. Thanks a lot, sir. Let me also take this opportunity to thank the department and social work family, Professor and Head Dr. R. Mangaleshwaran, Professor P. Ilango, Assistant Professor Dr. D. Nirmala, Dr. J. O. Jerida Jnanajan Eljo, Guest faculties Dr. R. Selvamani, Dr. N. Suresh Kumar, and Dr. R. Karthikeyan, the PhD scholars, and my second MSW classmates, and my seniors and my first year MSW students. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your support. Dear participants, thank you for joining us and for your support to our department. Thank you, and I believe the session was fruitful to you all. Thank you. I would also like to thank both my fieldwork faculty supervisor and the organizing secretary of this webinar and my family members for all their support and to help let this webinar reach until here. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.